In this video, we're going to touch on things that we feel you need to know before traveling to Cuba. Since it's based on our experience, a lot of it will be geared towards U.S. citizens traveling, but some of these tips can be used in general.
Yeah, this is a mixture of things that we feel like you need to know and things that we've been asked since we've traveled to Cuba.
Number one, getting there.
All right, so in terms of getting to Cuba as a U.S. citizen or just traveling from the United States, there's a few options. You could fly out of Florida. We flew out of Fort Lauderdale Airport because we were actually in Florida visiting some family. But I had relatives that flew directly from Newark Airport and JFK also. So you have a few options.
And these were non-stop flights.
And from Fort Lauderdale or the Miami, Florida area, the flight is like 30, 40 minutes. So it's really just a hop, skip, and a jump. Not even, it's just a hop. That's what makes it so beautiful. The flights are pretty inexpensive. We booked our flights for $280 each round trip. And that's just the flight itself. So it's definitely an affordable flight. And it's a short flight for those of you who don't like to take long plane rides.
So when you're booking the flight, they will ask you for a category to select for kind of like a reason why you're traveling. And travel restrictions between the US and Cuba have changed. The level of restrictions have changed over the years. But as of right now, we're not allowed to travel for strictly tourism reasons.
Correct.
So the category that we traveled under was support for the Cuban people.
Yeah, and I think like this is where a lot of the confusion comes into play, because a lot of people, because they are aware or have heard that we can't travel to Cuba for tourism anymore, believe that we can't travel to Cuba, period.
At all.
When you're buying your flight, before you pay for it, they ask you to select one of these 12 reasons for why you're going to Cuba. And once you select to support the local people, which you have no choice but to do when we get there, once you select to support the local people, you should be fine. I haven't heard of anyone who selected that and it didn't work out for them.
So once you have your flight, you're gonna get to the airport and apply for the visa, the travel visa. We did this right in the terminal. It was $50.
50 US each, yeah.
50 US each. It was pretty simple. They give you a QR code, you fill out your information, you show it to the person at the desk, and they give you like a physical travel card to carry with you.
Pro tip, while you're waiting on the line, take your phone out and scan that QR code. A lot of people don't scan the QR code, and when they get called up to the kiosk, they haven't filled out that first part of the application, which is the QR code. And you either have to step aside or you have to go back to the back of the line. So while you're on the line, look for that QR code, scan it, and fill out the necessary information.
Definitely go a little bit earlier because the lines move slow. Because a lot of people don't know what to do. They didn't fill out an application. The lines might move slow.
Yeah,
so give yourself some extra time. Credit cards. So US credit cards are not accepted in Cuba. Definitely cash is king. Travel with your cash. Travel with small bills. If you do not want to receive change in CUP, which is the currency in Cuba.
Our advice would be to, and it's kind of like an exercise in a sense, you consider the length of your stay, consider what you'll be comfortable spending on a daily basis, and you take that in cash. For instance, we went for 4 days, and I took 500 US in cash, and it sustained me for the time there. This is including me paying for the taxis, the excursions we went on, food at the restaurants, Wi-Fi, which may lead us into our next topic. I also bought souvenirs and artwork. Just use me as a barometer, I guess. If you feel like you're gonna spend more, just take a lot of money with you and then just come back home with what you don't spend.
Yeah, in terms of pricing, I wouldn't say that anything was like super expensive. Things were pretty affordable. Food was very affordable. Taxis were very affordable. We had to haggle sometimes, but
it's haggling in your benefit because they know you're a visitor. They're just gonna. Some people are just gonna try to upprice you. So it's in your best interest to just haggle.
Be fair, definitely be fair, but just be aware.
Next topic, like I said, internet. Wi-Fi. Listen to me. You do not want to be in Cuba with no Wi-Fi. None of the U.S. cellular companies are going to be able to support you while you're in Cuba. You can use your cell phone, but you need to access some sort of Wi-Fi. The lines at the places that sell Wi-Fi look like the lines for Beyonce concerts. It's insane. It's a long line. So what we were lucky enough to have was the Airbnb we stayed at. They had a wireless hotspot. It's smaller than my cell phone. It just fit in your pocket. We gave them $10 and we had it for the entire stay. So everywhere we went, we had Wi-Fi. We were able to use our phones, use our apps, and everything of that nature. And that was 4 people using one of those, and it held us down. So we were lucky in that sense. What I would do or suggest is when you're booking your Airbnb, contact the host, ask them if they have a hotspot available, or ask them to buy you some Wi-Fi cards that you could put on your phone as soon as you get there, because you need the internet, especially if you want to go route and walk around. You want to have your GPS on your phone so you know where you're going, you won't get lost. You want to search things, you want to look things up when you get there. You might get there and somebody might suggest a place to you and you want to pull it up on Google Maps to see how to get there. You want to have internet available.
I went there thinking like, oh, I'll get some work done. It was stress.
Yeah.
No work got done. If it wasn't for the hotspot that our host gave us, I probably would have, I don't know, I've just been so frustrated.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the good side of it is if you need a digital detox or time away.
Perfect place.
Perfect place.
Perfect place. If you want nobody to be able to get in contact with you, perfect place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Accommodations.
As a U.S. citizen or a U.S. passport holder, hotels are out of the question. Resorts are out of the question for us.
The Cuban government owns 51% at least of all of the hotels. So as U.S. citizens, we're unable to spend our money there. So pretty much, we can't stay there.
So just know, as U.S. citizens or U.S. passport holders, resorts and hotels are off limits to us in Cuba. Mm-hmm. But don't be alarmed. There are beautiful Airbnbs, there are high-end Airbnbs available as well.
Private guest homes.
And if you want to look for something on the cheap end, where you're staying in a guest home of a local or you're staying in a room of a local, there's a website called Casa Particular that you can also go on. It's like their version of Airbnb. These are places that we're allowed to stay in, and we stayed in an Airbnb, a beautiful condo, was real set up, comfortable.
The host
was
very helpful.
Amazing. Shout out to Jorge, and it definitely was home for the days that we were in Cuba.
Yeah, and we're not a huge fan of staying on resorts and hotels anyway, so this definitely gave you the Cuban experience. Food.
This is what we travel for.
Ooh.
We travel for food. Casa Mia Paladar, I think was the last part of the name. Casa Mia. We'll tag them in the description for sure.
If you follow us on Instagram, you know how many times we went there.
Yeah.
And we were only in Cuba for
3 days.
3 days. And we went
saw
there
it every day.
3 times.
Yeah. We saw it every day. It was definitely good food. Again, it's one of the, I guess, a private restaurant.
Mm-hmm. And I think anything with the Paladar at the end indicates that it's a privately run restaurant.
Okay. And our Airbnb host again came through, gave us a list of restaurants that they recommended, and Casa Mia was definitely, it was amazing. Then there's
the drinks were amazing.
Yeah. We also visited this burger spot that's a 24-hour burger spot. It's on a corner, very subtle place, but when you walk in there, you realize, all right, this is a spot to be. And then the burgers are amazing. The chicken burger, definite recommendation. So good.
You pick you choose your meat, you pick your toppings. Highly recommend their frozen lemonade. Ooh.
If I'm not mistaken, the burgers there are somewhere between like $1 and something and $3 and something. Yeah, it's really cheap, and the food is the burgers are amazing. They don't have fries; they just have burgers, shakes. and things of that nature. But it's really
So good.
It's
You won't miss the fries.
One of those spots that you hit up coming in late night. You wake up early when it's 24 hours. So definitely hit them up when you visit.
And also in our Vinales vlog, you should definitely check that out. We mentioned a local restaurant that we visited during our day tour. That food was also amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
Homegrown, fresh food, really good. Our last point, safety.
Yeah, this is like we said, Cuba has a few misconceptions, and I think this is something that I was asked about a lot when I returned from Cuba. People asked me if I felt safe. I couldn't feel more safe in Cuba. I had jewelry on. We walked the streets every day.
Late at night,
early in the morning. So, and we didn't feel like, when you're from the city, you kind of pick up on certain energies. It's a calm setting in Vedado where we stayed. So in terms of safety, I feel like you don't have a worry. In Old Havana, you got a few people heckling and asking for U.S. currency because they need it in order to acquire certain things. But outside of that,
yeah, we feel
extremely
very safe on the streets. Yeah. Definitely don't be afraid to walk the streets, see as much as you can see. We actually ended up somehow in a local bar. It's like a lounge bar situation.
It wasn't a bar. It was a local after-hours spot. That's where we ended up, in a local after-hours speakeasy. Almost.
Yeah, almost like a speakeasy.
But it was a lot of fun.
They had live performance. Yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, live band. It was definitely an experience, one that we won't forget. So yeah, man.
You could feel free to check out the nightlife and not be worried. But if it does put your mind at rest, you can always talk to your host, who will tell you what streets are well lit, if that'll help you feel better.
Or what venues to attend.
What venues to
because there are a lot of nightclubs. Some of them close earlier than others, so you gotta. Don't wait till last minute, 12 at night, to try to figure out what club you're going to. Know from early in the day and see what time they're closing and get your transportation, and check it out. These are just some of the questions that we had. If you have any other questions, please feel free to comment below, and we will reply to you with whatever answers that we have if we left something out. I hope this helps you in planning your trip or just knowing more about Cuba and how it's set up.
Safe travels, y'all.
All right. Peace.